I have issues with having the phones in school.
We have Ann and Brianna. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good.
I think we got all. Thank you. And good morning. Hi, Ann.
Morning.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the monthly meeting of RMSEL. We are excited to have you here in person or streaming. We'll start first with introductions. We can start with our two board members who are joining us virtually. Brianna, would you like to start? And then Ann, and then we'll go to the people in the room.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Mestas. I am the Senior Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Public Education and Business Coalition. Great to be here with you all this morning.
Hi, I'm Ann Egan with Cherry Creek School District, and I am also happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm Carrie Olson. I'm from Denver Public Schools, and I represent RMSEL or DPS on the board.
Angela Christensen, representing Littleton Public Schools.
And hi, I'm Becky Myers and I represent Douglas County School District.
Chad, do you want to introduce
Yep.
yourself?
Chad Burns, Executive Director at RMSEL.
And then we have some of our RMSEL staff.
Julie Stelzer, Finance Director at RMSEL. Krista Hito, Enrollment Coordinator at RMSEL.
And I'm Mary Clemish. I am an attorney who works at the Douglas County School District. Thank you so much for allowing me to participate today. And I just want to ask if there is a link for Becky to join.
I do. Does she? Okay, I'll find it.
Then you can see us as well.
Yes, because our TV isn't working this morning. Normally the owl
Yeah.
hoots at us and captures everybody, but we're all on. See, I know it's modern technology, right? So.
And the girls think they're fine.
Sorry for those of us watching. It's a very cute picture of all of us. So I call this meeting to order, and our first item of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for Tuesday, September 27th, 2022.
Do you have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from June 7th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 7th, 2022?
So moved.
Thank you, Ann. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Becky. Motion. Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, and with that, we will turn it over to Chad for our executive director
Thanks
report.
for everybody for being here. Thank you for coming to our board workshop in August. A lot of this information will be in addition to what you received in August, outlining our student achievement data and our student performance framework. But I wanted to get started with just talking a little bit about back to school. It's crazy to think this week marks the 7th week of the school year. As a leadership team, we work collaboratively to ensure that this school year continued our tradition of excellence, as well as our constant desire to monitor and adjust for strategic improvement. To begin the year, we constructed 2 weeks of professional development, team building, and intentional classroom preparation. To kick off this experience, our instructional leaders conducted a 3-day RMSEL 101 training for new to RMSEL staff members. At the conclusion of RMSEL 101, we gathered together as an entire staff on the Upper Colorado for a 3-day, 2-night river expedition, focusing on teaching crew trip campcraft and getting to know one another before digging into the work of the year. Upon our return from the trip, we supported the 3 days of curriculum camp, focusing on creation and/or refinement of our first semester learning expeditions and case studies. This intentional guided planning time provided teaching staff the opportunity to plan the scope and sequence for their first 9 weeks. And finally, the first days of school always bring about last minute details that need to be met before students can begin. And our team provided 2 days of classroom work time before students arrived on Monday, August 15th. In addition to our supportive teacher prep, I want to thank our Director of Secondary Education, Athletics and Activities, Jesse Davis, organized and relaunched our middle school athletic program. 40% of our middle school students are participating in volleyball, cross country, and/or soccer. For students who are not interested in athletic sport, we also welcome the return of enrichments. Students currently have the opportunity to take art, mountain biking, wilderness survival skills, and/or American Sign Language. And these opportunities contribute to a positive school climate and culture here at RMSEL. Finally, I want to thank our community for coming together and our fundraising committee for putting on the RMSEL rally. We held a community event this past Sunday at Bear Creek State Park. And as of last Friday, we had 225 members of our community signed up to participate. And with walk-up registration, we ended up having close to 250 participants. So beautiful day out at the park. And leveraging the community culture at RMSEL, it's also imperative that we remain focused on providing additional learning opportunities for students who need support. And so every Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m., we conduct academic support across all of our classrooms. And this is an open time for students to extend learning and required for students who may need this time for small group extension and intervention. So great back to school. Next piece, and we'll go into this a little bit more detail in our discussion items, but want to recognize that the Colorado Department of Education has relaunched the school performance framework after a 2-year pause. The 2022 SPF consists of an analysis of academic achievement, academic growth, and post-secondary and workforce readiness. As a K-12 school, our students participate in every aspect of the framework. This year, we respectively posted the following participation rates: 92.8% in English language arts, 93.2% in math, and 89% in science. Based on the high rate of participation at RMSEL, this framework provides our team with reliable and accurate student achievement, which is a valuable benchmark as we assess a body of evidence for school improvement. Each school level has a performance indicator with a corresponding percentage and rating. A summary of each school level performance indicator, percent of points earned, and rating is outlined below. So at elementary school, in both academic achievement and growth, we met the performance indicator. In middle school, academic achievement and academic growth, we met and we exceeded in academic growth. And in high school, we exceeded in academic achievement, met in academic growth, and exceeded in post-secondary and workforce readiness. As a result, the expeditionary BOCES, Rocky Mountain School of Expeditionary Learning, averaged a SPF summary of 82% with a final rating of accreditation with distinction. RMSEL has achieved and maintained this level of accreditation since 2014. The summary score of 82% is our highest percentage to date. So I am proud of our amazing staff for maintaining a focus on excellence through such a difficult period of history. I know that our students have the foundation to continue to grow as learners and enter level as they work towards graduation. As we focus on our strategic plan and look deeper at achievement as it compares to equitable outcomes in our school, I also want to report today that the data shared with SPF also provides insight into our performance as related to ensuring that RMSEL is meeting our strategic goals as related to inclusivity and diversity. The order of these terms is important as we seek to fulfill our mission and vision. RMSEL strives to be an inclusive learning environment of every child in attendance. We seek to extend our instructional framework in diversifying our student population equivalent to the communities that our district serve. We're meeting our goals and making improvements in the diversity of our school community. The SPF highlights the following areas of success and room for continued growth. In elementary school, we serve a population of 28% minority students. In English language arts, the mean of our student data for all students is a scale score of 745.3, minority students 741.3. So the achievement gap between all students and minority students at elementary school in English language arts is less than 1%, 0.5%. Same data metric applies to mathematics, of which we have a 0.6% achievement gap. When we transition to middle school, we see this trend continue with less than a 1% achievement gap between minority students and all students of 0.6% in English language arts and 0.4% in mathematics. As we transition to high school, where students take the PSAT for 2 years and the SAT, we do see a gap start to widen with our minority student population and our all student population. We are now serving a population of 33% non-white students in the high school. And there we have a gap of 7% in English language arts and 6% in mathematics. While we do have a gap, it's exciting to celebrate that RMSEL in grades K through 8 based on this data does not measure a student achievement gap between our populations. We have room for improvement in high school based on SAT scores of a gap of 6 to 7%. And we believe that this is obtainable to close versus the gaps measured nationally.
Yeah, well done. Would anybody like to comment or add any questions? We do have hand claps that 82%. That's amazing. Very well done. Any of my board colleagues like to have any questions or commentary? And Anne and Brianna, I'm also watching you too, so let me know if there's anything.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate the breakdown, Chad, and your recognition that this is one, set of data. And it's also, I appreciate you just identifying, what y'all can learn from it and potential next steps. So yes, congratulations to staff, to students. I know you all have been working so hard, and I'm definitely hearing that it's like, you knew this, you saw this every single day, and to have some concrete data to back it up is also affirming. So yeah, I'm excited for you all.
Thank you, Brianna. I would just like to echo what Brianna said. This is really exciting. And I'm thinking, like, with the extra help that you're giving students on Wednesdays from 3 to 4, I know you'll focus in on these students in high school. I know when you started digging into the data, you texted me right away and like I said, look at where we are. So this is just really exciting. And I think the whole picture of RMSEL is just shaping up nicely to continue to have this great high level of growth. Congratulations to you and your staff and everybody who supports. So that's just fabulous. Excellent. And next time you have a RMSEL rally, I'd love to come. So invite the board. I'd love to be there. That sounds like a lot of fun. With that, we will move on to open forum. Do we have anyone for open forum this morning? All right. So we will move on to the consent agenda. We have one item on our consent agenda, personnel matters. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Do you have a second? All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you. We will now move on to discussion items, and the first one being the school performance framework, which you hinted at in your executive director report.
Yes, so you have a copy of this document in your electronic packet. It's color coded, and then the board members that are here today have a copy of this as well. This basically breaks down a data point for us, focusing on English language arts achievement, mathematics achievement, science growth, which was measured this year, not achievement, and then looking at post-secondary and workforce readiness through the SAT, attendance, and graduation rates of our students. As I shared, we've been continuously working to improve since 2014. We've maintained our accreditation with distinction rating. We like to go through this report and break it down grade by grade into a standards breakdown for teachers that we're doing so that we can provide them specific areas to target for improvement, places where a specific substandard may be off that of the state mean, or a place that they're doing really well, to highlight success for them as an additional data point. And then we take 3 cycles of the iReady testing throughout the year and PSATs in the fall as well as the spring to give a look into this. Super proud of where our kids are performing, super proud of the teachers that support them in reaching these levels of achievement. Super proud that throughout a pandemic, our teachers were able to remain focused on student achievement, supporting kids. This does not mean that we don't have areas for growth and improvement. We're very fortunate that last year we employed a full-time literacy interventionist versus a part-time literacy interventionist. Our mathematics interventionist increased by 1 calendar day to provide support for kids that are identified as needing additional support in small groups of 1 to 3 for up to 60 minutes per week. We like to do that in 20-minute chunks. If you're a third grader and you've been to school all day, getting that extra small group support is very intentional, but doing it in a duration of time that supports their growth versus supports them maybe developing not so much of a love for literacy or mathematics. This report, you see these in your districts as well. The nice thing about this report for RMSEL is it does specifically look at each school level, elementary, middle, and high school. We see the area in elementary school, as which we knew is an area where we're meeting indicators across the board and or approaching versus meeting or exceeding in middle and high school. And we did target employment and services to those grade levels to support early intervention with the split of our kindergarten classroom into 2 13-student classrooms. And then each of our classrooms, first, second, third, and 4, 5 have an associate teacher in the classroom as well. So we know that the pandemic impacted our earliest learners the most significantly. We're targeting services and support there, and we look forward to seeing the growth of those students in those small classrooms and support of our associate teachers. So I will take a pause because I know everyone has seen this in their districts, but I'll attempt to answer any questions that you may have in the subcategory data or the way that these scores are calculated.
Would any of my board colleagues like to comment or ask any questions? Anyone online? Anne or Brianna, are you good? Good. I see head nods. So the only question I would like to ask, and I know the answer to this, but for our viewing audience, at the top it says accredited with distinction, low participation. Could you explain that for people at home who might be watching who don't see these every single day?
Sure. And
Thank
so
you.
that means here that we want to meet an accountability participation rate above 95%, and we did not meet that in every category. So like I said, 92.8, 93.2, and 89%. And what that means for us as a district is we do feel that this data is reliable compared to other opt-out data across other school districts. So while we're not at the 95% threshold in every subcategory, 92%, 93% give us a good snapshot of how our kids are performing. Also know that this data snapshot specifically in elementary school looks at 3 grades, 3, 4, 5, and then at middle school, it looks at 6, 7, 8. High school, it looks at 9, 10, 11, because the SAT is administered in 11, and then uses graduation data as a 12th grade indicator. So good snapshot of what's going on at school, but also areas where we're, we had in this very room, half of our kindergarten class doing their iReady test on their iPad to get their first bit of data for number recognition, for letter recognition. So we're collecting benchmark data along the way, and then our student portfolios. And so I think I've always said this is a reassurance to the work that our teachers do in the classroom. We don't have a test prep class. We don't have a test prep enrichment. We don't purchase sample CMOS assessments here at RMSEL. We like to think that our instructional framework and how we teach transitions to taking a good hard test, whether it's this or some other type of test. And since 2014, we've seen that data correlate in that way. Super proud of our kids.
Thank you. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, we will move on to the Douglas County District IGA.
So in support of that, Becky, before you guys get started, I want everybody to know you have a copy of the IGA in your folder if you need to reference that document for any reason. And then this is a fully executed IGA. So you have this here today. So if someone in your district says, we don't have that, we got a paper copy now, and there was an electronic copy circulated to all the board secretaries with the BOCES packet. So this is considered a fully executed document. So just want everybody to have that for reference if they need it. So
Thank you.
Well, good morning. Thank you for placing this on the agenda. First of all, I want to let you know that the Douglas County School District recognizes the quality programming that's been provided through RMSEL to its students throughout all of our years. And a little bit of history, which you probably know, is Douglas County, along with 3 other districts, worked to form the RMSEL in 92, 93. While at the same time that we recognize the quality of RMSEL's expeditionary learning programs, we have had circumstances change since the time when DCSD became a member district to the RMSEL BOCES, including the fact that DCSD presently has its own EL learning programs. And we have for students in pre-K through 12. And in recent years, a relatively small number of Douglas County families are electing to choose to enroll in the RMSEL expeditionary program. We have at current, I believe, 11 students, 7 families, and we have 50 slots. So in the past, we have, in the past years, past recent years, we've only filled about a third of those slots. So what has happened in the district's administration? They have been working through the merits of continuing the district's relationship as a RMSEL member. So as such, the administration has determined that even though RMSEL provides a quality programming, it is recommended that withdrawal from RMSEL be considered. And now the district's administration will be taking its recommendation to the Douglas County Board of Education on October the 11th at our meeting then. And if the district board approves the administration's recommendation, we will give written notice to withdraw from RMSEL by November 1. Now, the RMSEL IGA in here, it provides that when such notice to withdraw is given by a member district, such notice operates to terminate the agreement effective as of the end of the fiscal year following the year in which notice was given. So if our board approves this October the 11th, we will take action to withdraw from RMSEL, and we will give notice to RMSEL. And the district understands that it will continue to be a RMSEL member through the end of the 23-24 school year, or June 30th, 2024. Let's see. And I believe that's it.
Thank you for that report. I know that it has been mentioned before that this was something you've been considering, so I know I'm not super surprised, especially after the pandemic with the drive and families really struggling with that. I don't think it's a surprise to you either. We know, that's just a challenge, the physical distance from RMSEL. So that it's just, I know I've heard that from families as well, but we're sad to see this even being considered, but we understand it's changing. So do any of my board colleagues have questions or comments? So is there anything you'd like to add?
Sure.
To that?
So our intent would be to provide notice to our families that this is being considered, as it's in public record today. Inform them of the commentary that Director Myers shared with us, all within reason. We had 11 families last year. Had Chris run the data because we're in October count window right now. It's 15 now, so not a substantial,
Okay.
not a substantial difference. 15 students. I apologize.
15 students, 11 families.
I don't know the family.
Okay,
I'll get you
okay.
the exact family count. And our intent is to let them know that their students have a seat at RMSEL and will continue to have a seat
That's
of
what I
in
was gonna ask.
which of up till the time of which they would elect to transition, and they would forego their seat like any other family. Have looked at our enrollment policy, which includes siblings. The way that we've interpreted that in the past is if a student from Denver moves to Sheridan Public Schools, we keep that student enrolled, and then we classify them as an out-of-district student because we don't believe in moving students out of their school enrollment, whether they're Jeffco or Sheridan or Inglewood, because of the open enrollment statute in our state that allows kids to enroll outside of districts. And so we would apply that same methodology to this group of students for these families, of which a sibling would potentially be enrolled. So if we have a 7th grader and they had an incoming kindergarten, that student would still receive the sibling preference to keep those students together. What would not be extended is any future enrollment of Douglas County students beyond the 2024 school year, any type of seated preference through the language of the IGA. So students would be able to participate in the lottery this year and then next year, because this would conclude at 2024.
Yes.
Which is a reasoned timeline for this board to have the discussion, as those seats are already being absorbed in the up to 440 count that we have in the document. So there's really no action, because the action is already taking place when a district is underfilled. Gives us the flexibility to over enroll from another partner. This board would have could have the discussion if they wanted to seek another district to participate in the IGA, and participate as a 4-member district with the PVC as the 5th voting member, leaving a standard majority of 3-5 for voting purposes. And so I will turn it over to Anne, who has a question.
All right, thank you, Chad. So I actually have 2 questions about this. One, could we get the breakdown on the proportions of students currently enrolled from each district? And then also, I'm just wondering operationally what this will mean for the remaining districts. If we could just talk a little bit about both of those things.
So I will send a supplement document with current enrollment. I'll work with Chris, because we're in the October count window, to get you the most accurate breakdown, because it will be finalized as of Monday, October 3rd. So we shouldn't see any fluctuation at this point. So the data that you will receive will be accurate. And then operationally, that would be a discussion, I think, for future agenda around if we would operate as a 4-member district partnership with the PVC being the 5th voting member. But operationally, on our end as a school staff, this doesn't change any daily operations of school.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe if I had a similar question to Anne, I'm wondering about the operational nature. And is it worth consulting with our attorney to figure out whether, like, is there a legal reason why we would need 6 members? Like, should we be, like, I guess I don't know the ins and outs of that, or you might be able to answer that. Like, can we just leave it at, I know we need to discuss this as a board, I'm not making a decision, but just wondering the pros and cons of adding another district versus just leaving it with 4 districts in PVC. So I don't know what like the pros and cons of each of those options would be.
Let's maybe as a first step have Coulter weigh in,
Sure,
give us an opinion.
just to be sure we're thinking of things, these dense legal documents, I'm never sure. So just so that we're sure. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So I appreciate both of you being here and bringing this forward. Thank you for your thoughtfulness with which you're doing this, and you too, Chad, for thinking about the siblings. That was also going to be one of my questions, just to create continuity within the families that are already here, so that they're sure that
Yes,
they're.
thank you for handling that.
Yeah, but I know that's meaningful for families who are counting on this, because the school is such a small, tight-knit community that if a sibling goes, they look forward to, doing the same things their older brother or sister did. So that's exciting. Thank you. All right, action items. We'll move on to the next agenda. I don't see anything listed under there, so we will move on to report items. And we have the fabulous finance director to take us through the budget report. Who always makes these seem so interesting and understandable. Thank you.
Or snooze, one of the 2.
No, you do a good job.
Yep. So you all should have received your financial statements in the email. In front of that was a management summary. We have our annual audit starting a week from Monday. They will be out here. We still have the same partner at Clifton Larson and the same staff accountant on the job, and there will be one new hire that I don't know yet. I'll meet them when they come. Looking forward to that, trying to get everything ready over the course of with everything. Our Our revenue, as Chad was kind of talking about, we budgeted at 385 students. And our PPR was based on October 1 of 2021 student count, and that was at 393. So when count day is finished, I think we're going to end up like at 388, and we will revise those numbers in January on the revised budget. We passed a resolution you passed a resolution in June to use part of the beginning fund balance as a budget carryover to this year. That specifically is used for servicing the debt on the bond. And then there's 155,000, I think, in there for purchasing new buses. So we have that to work on. Outside of this report and these statements only go through August 31st, but we did receive our BOCES funding money. So I wanted to mention that it was slightly higher than what we had budgeted at 208,975. So that will be adjusted on the next budget. Interest income. Interest income will be adjusted on the next budget based on what the markets are doing. We're way above right now, and I think we're going to go higher for the course of the year. So you'll adjust that one. Are there any questions on the revenue portion of it? Something that shows up on the budget that we don't budget for is the after-school enrichment in the athletic program. Those activities are tied to the participation rates of the whatever it is. So you have to have 11 people to play soccer. So they'll probably put a cap at 13. So that's kind of how we base the budgeting off of. We do not put that in the budget though, because it fluctuates all over the place. Are there any questions on the revenue? No. On the expenses,
Talking about interest income, and you have
an idea.
where that is.
I'm probably going to put it up to 9,000, 9,500 come January, is what I'm thinking. At this point. On the expenses, we have the usual timing difference between our lease payments to DPS. They're due May 1st and November 1st. So the one in May rolled over into this year and paid 75,000 towards this year. And then 11/1 will be the one for the remainder of the year. So that's why that timing difference is always on there. The next section will show you what we've paid thus far this year for the bond. Made an interest payment of 175,000. We pay a biannual fee to SECFA, the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority, twice a year. We do for the all of the financial statements, the budget, anything related to bond goes through the Digital Assurance Corporation, which is this DAC down there, and they take that and upload it to Emma for the bond investors and because it's a public document for them. And that will show on there, I would hope, for the next 30 years until such time that we are out of this debt. So, and I won't be here for those 30 years. The next thing on here is faculty recruitment. We are over budget on that because we have been desperately trying to find an adventure coordinator. So that will be adjusted as well on the next budget. Chad will know better about this because he lived it. Chad has been our interim adventure coordinator. So because we don't have them, we still have trips going out. As part of that process, he has been through our adventure shed, which is out here behind the building, and gone through everything, inventoried everything, gotten rid of things that should be gotten rid of, cleaned out, restocked, made new kitchens, whatever it is, to try and get that program where it needs to be. So right now our adventure supplies are over budget, but they will come back in line in January. Spanish supplies is also over budget because we last year had our Spanish instruction was online through Elevation. This year we have an actual teacher and she is wonderful. So we are going to give her a supply budget. She's already spending it. Financial aid last year in one of the meetings, might have been Angela Garland who said it. Moving financial aid up to 20% versus the 12%.
Yeah.
So we made that adjustment. So that accounts for
a lot of this discrepancy, but what we still have left in financial aid is a lot higher. And so that'll be used to offset budget shortfalls. We still have until October 31st for families to apply for financial aid. So they should get their tax returns filed by the 15th of October and then fill out our forms. So that's all I have on budget, unless you guys have questions.
I'll turn it over to the board. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Could you remind us, Chad, what are we doing to promote the scholarships that are available? Just so we know, in case anybody's watching and wondering.
Sure. So the primary promotion is during the registration phase, as families are going through the process of registering for school. It's the reminder that they're making the first series of payments and that they might need assistance. At that time, they're prompted to come in, have a private meeting with Julie so she can assist them in completing the forms and the paperwork so that they can get that done prior to starting the school year. We send out an additional communication in October, which we call as kind of a flashing light, to put it back in front of families that may have entered a hardship between registration and now, or may have missed communication in the past. We call it a flashing light because if we send it today, as Julie shared with those extended tax deadlines, they may have not filed yet. So we try to put it kind of promptly right in front of our community. And we do that as a supplementary communication through Infinite Campus Messenger. So here at RMSEL, we don't use Infinite Campus Messenger as an open source for teachers or just ad nauseum on myself. We like it to be the thing that catches our community's attention. So teachers send their weekly communications through their email. They post things on Google Classroom. They update their grades. But when we use Infinite Campus Messenger, we've kind of held it in reserve as this thing to say, school's canceled tomorrow. That's why you're getting a messenger versus sometimes messenger is used in an overextended way where it's like, I updated a grade book and there's cross country tonight and there's this and there's that. And it doesn't necessarily catch the direct attention of our community. So for example, we had 50 community members signed up for the RMSEL rally. We sent a flashing light and we went to 225 in 3 days. And so we'll use that as the tool to remind our families if they need additional support that is available here for them.
Thank you for that.
And when we did that same communication last year, we caught a few families that had missed it. So that's tend to have worked well in addition to the first time which you should be looking at it, which is that registration period.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Anna or Brianna, are you good? Okay, yes.
I just wanted to mention that the next meeting in November. So there's October and the meeting in November.
Yeah.
That is the approval of the audit. They will make their presentation. So we need to have at least 5 of 6 people.
Perfect.
For district voting here.
That's helpful. Thank you. And we were going to talk next about future agenda items. So that was a perfect flow. But I just wanted to say, Julie, thank you again for all the care and concern that you put into this. And I love the summary in the beginning when I'm reviewing this. I can always just look at it and then it makes it understandable. So thank you.
If there's anything you ever want added, you please don't hesitate to call me.
Sure.
I've been doing it a long time and sometimes I
You
don't see
numbers
it the way
really
that
well.
other people who don't look at it see it. So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So items for future agenda, we heard November 15th, we'll have the audit presentation. Chad, would you like to go over anything else that's coming up?
Brianna included in the chat that she just like a report to the board of the percent of students that graduated, attending universities, trade programs, and those directly going into the workforce. And so we'll give an update on that, just a data metric before the board for the request. And then our next meeting is our fieldwork fee recommendation, which has been a 0% increase over the last 3 cycles. And so it may require more analysis of the board, but I'm going to report on inflation and cost within that program, just to give the board an update of where we are, not trying to preemptively state that we're going to need some type of increase, but just want consideration of, we're being respectful of extending additional financial aid, and at the same time, as a simple metric, the school buses were in the low $60,000 range. And the inflationary cost to them in a short period of time is $98,000. So a $38,000 increase on a 15 passenger bus. And so just, we're just seeing that across the board. We increased our contract pay from $150 a day to $185 a day for our wilderness first responder contracts. As we purchase food for these trips are this fieldwork fee goes to permits, gas, campgrounds, staffing, and food. We're seeing anywhere between a 20 to 40% increase in food costs. And so I just want to make the board kind of aware of that. I will say our community is doing an amazing job to support the program. To eliminate supplemental costs, we used to hire contract workers for 2 days prior to a trip to come do some of that work. I did most of that work this last season, so we saved about $1,000 per trip there. Our parent community has been coming in and volunteering post-trip to help us clean up, so we don't need as many contract workers and days. So we're trying to be smart about that. We don't want to burden our families further than this current economic situation is burdening them. But I just want the board to be informed that these are the numbers we're seeing. It's not to be anything more than this is the reality of which we're living in. So after we get these 2 buses purchased on this next cycle, we may wait 3 years instead of 2 years and see if we can extend the life and things of that way to continue to be smart. We want to continue to operate our trip program. We want to continue to travel. We want to continue to expose kids to this unique instructional framework of learning. And at the same time, we know that those costs are increasing significantly at the consumer level. And I'm sure that you're seeing that extended through in all of your districts. Your PPR percentage is not equivalent to the inflationary percentage, which makes it challenging. So I just want in informing that conversation, just give a brief update around cost increases we've seen.
Thanks for the warning. I think we all see the food increases in our personal shopping, so I can only imagine. Are there any other agenda items that any of my other board colleagues would like to see for future meetings added? If you ever think of anything, feel free to email Chad and I, and we can definitely add them. So, anything else? Anybody else have any other comments? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time in being here. Thank you for participating, and thank you to the staff taking notes and preparing everything, to you, Chad, for all your amazing work. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. And second? Second. All right. Thank you. The motion all in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion passes and we adjourn. Thank you so much. And Brianna, yes, I see your note. We can, Chad and I can chat with you for a minute. But for everybody else, thank you for attending and have a great month. And we'll see you in October. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we can take it off the owl and.
Yeah.
So you want one of those in your house?
When it turns on and it hoots and those eyes come on, it's kind of creepy. I know, that's why I love that. Who got that?
Our instructional coach and
Love it. When it does it at DPS too, like the where I sit, like when it comes on, its eyes just go like right to me, and then it gives that little whoop. It is a little creepy. It was good to see you. Take care.
Are we still live on YouTube?
No.
yeah, let me see. Yeah, I got to take that down. I'm working there.
Okay.